audio, video, da-da, ba-ba-ba. My name is Michael Palisak. Welcome to ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. I Just Got My Kid to Sleep by Michael Palisak. I am the host, so I'm the byline. This is a podcast, and it's also a video. So if you're watching as a video and you're like, why does it look like a podcast? Well, very observant, Mr. or Ms. They, them, because it is a podcast. And if you're listening to it and you're like, sometimes I feel like there's something else in the room that's recording the way he looks too. Well, you're also correct. We have video also, which is, we're episode 26, I believe. And we already have video. We have video since day one, because that's not a hard thing to do these days. As long as you're willing to, to do it in a way that's easy. Welcome, sleepers. That's a name. And this is back in the home studio. My home, which is a studio. I just got my kid to sleep. Tomorrow is Jackson's first day of school. I'd like to say ever, but I don't know why I'd like to say ever. I think that's cool when there's like a clean start, but we did preschool last year, so I count that as school. School's in the word. If I didn't count it, then what? I mean, I guess it's preschool. So like, if you say you went to pre-kindergarten, which is then it's not kindergarten. Okay, this is the first day of school. This is kindergarten, but it's not a grade yet. It's not a grade. It's a kindergarten, and I don't think he knows that he's going, because he's gone to school before. So I was just thinking, like, have you ever seen Toy Story 4? I haven't seen the whole thing. Please, please, please do not spoil it. But I watched part of it with Jack, and then I'm a good parent, that's the whole reason this podcast exists, is if that's ever taken to court, my quality as a parent, you can watch these and be like, I'm not really sure. No, we were watching Toy Story, and I was like, this is a good one to cut for the good parent things. I was like, we got to go to bed now. He was also done watching it, but, and I would just watch it by myself while he's playing. So I was like, all right, he wants to go, we're going to bed. And so I never finished it. But I do know that it was a big deal for the little girl when she had to go to kindergarten. And I was kind of looking forward to that moment, because he's not too worried about it. And what am I here for? If I can't calm or soothe his worry, then what's the point? I mean, he still, can't drive and get food by himself. So I guess I'm still worth something. We went to the playground today, and I'm very engaged as a parent when I play, but there were other kids there because it was Labor Day. Today is Labor Day. Shout out to all of the, I think Labor Day is, oh no, the set's falling apart. I should do my research on Labor Day, but I know that people that are in unions, that's part of it. So shout out to everybody that works. We appreciate your work. I work. This is work, right? I'm working on Labor Day. This is technically not work. This is my chill. I don't know how to describe it. I should ask my accountant on what's this, like, who do I bill, for this hour. Anyways, Labor Day, a lot of kids at the playground, and he had other kids to play with. And so I wasn't really needed. And I was like, this is it. This is where it all stops, This is the beginning of the end. To next thing you know, that's what parents always say. Parents always say, they grow up too fast. My mom and dad in their basement have this family circus cartoon taped to the wall, and it's like the kids grow, different shots of the kids as they grow up, and the parents are just turning around, and like the next thing they know, they're turning around and their kids are already going out the door and they're grown up. And so I just thought it would be like that, because everybody says it, that just goes by. And I think when you're done, you're like, wow, it's done. But nothing has gone fast so far. everything's gone, about the speed that it normally goes. I do think that I miss some of it because I feel like I was a better parent to like the younger years because I figured that out. And then you got to figure out this, and then they're going to change again. And then you got to figure out that. But I've realized maybe I don't have to figure it out. Maybe I just got to do my best or not, just sort of, well, you want to do your best. Who am I pretending to be this person that's like, who cares? I care a lot. But that's not what the podcast is about. This is for people who want to listen to a podcast. And it could be people after they got their kid to sleep. I'm sure that after a parent gets, like, don't make this your thing if you only get 53 minutes to watch something as a parent. If you do, I'm honored and I appreciate it. You should. But I just think, like, if you turn on the streaming services, there's like people put a lot of money into those, so there might be a little better backgrounds and stuff like that. I think it's a good watch if you have the time, or a good listen if you got other stuff going on. That's how I'd pitch it. Wow, we're on fire. This episode's on fire. It's on fire right now. This used to be when the fires around were, I feel like. Maybe it's next month. When are the fires in California again? I'm in California. This seems like such a long time ago I did my last episode, but it was last week. Can you believe how a week can feel? This is where I'm at. Time takes forever. What is going on? People say it goes by too fast like it's a bad thing. But maybe that means you're having a good time. I'm enjoying, it just feels like a week was like I was in a different place. I think that's part of it, is I was in a different state. Last week I was in my parents' basement recording, and then we flew to California, and then I flew back to go on the road, and then I ended up in a couple different states, and then I flew back out here. So I've done enough more travel than I ever did when I was Jack's age. Which, that's a weird comparison as an adult, to be like, I've done more than I've done when I was 5. Every day could be like that. I did everything more than when I was 5. There used to be that phrase, I don't know if it was a book or a poster. I think it was a poster. Everything I needed to know, I learned in kindergarten. And that was like, it was such like that was the first time I had ever heard it. Was on that post. That wasn't like a common thing people said. Like when I was in kindergarten, no teacher was like, guys, girls, people, pay attention, because everything you need to know, I'm going to teach you. And I don't think you can say that to kindergartners, because they're going to call you out. They're going to be like, well, what about drive? Oh, I got how scared I got. My cord to something moved a little bit, and I thought it was an animal in my house. Well, not an animal. I thought it was like an insect. I was like, I jumped. I visibly jumped. I don't think I audibly jumped. If you're just listening, I probably didn't have to say anything. All I need to know, I learned in kindergarten. So Jack's about to learn everything. But then I still got to send him to school for the next however many years. I think he'll want to go, though. It's pretty exciting. So that was my adventure, was on the planes. I flew around a lot and drove around a lot, and that was it. And then I do it again. This week though is just one stop in Long Island. I've been saying Long Island, New York, as if that's the city, but it's just like a region, It's just a region of New York. The town is called Levittown. But I feel like if you don't know that that's a town in Long Island, then you live near Long Island, you might be like, well, I'm not going to that show. So I've just been saying Long Island, even though Long Island is like very long. Like, people might be like, it goes by too fast as you're driving through Long Island. But I would say probably not. It's a long, you know what I'm saying. And so I don't know how to tell people where my show is, because it's like on Long Island, but that'd be like That'd be like if you had a show in Tallahassee, Florida, and you're like, they were like, "Where's your show?" And you're like, "Near swamps in Florida." Does that help? No, it doesn't. Long Island is a big island, but it's in Levittown, and just a Friday, Saturday, and I'm super excited because I have family in the area that I get to see, and it's very special. That comedy club, I feel like, is one of the ones that has the most support from family and their friends in my life, and that's very special to have that because it just feels really nice when people, you know, are proud. You know, they go to the show and they're like telling their friends, "Hey, enjoy it," because it goes by too fast. So, yeah, it'll go by. It's already Labor Day, guys. It's already Labor Day. Labor Day is right now. There is nothing you can do right now because Labor Day is happening. Labor Day is a day off, but it's called the Labor Day. I was in a union. I thought it was because of the unions, but I could have been wrong. I'm wrong about a lot. My son asked me why the sky is blue, and I got so excited because I thought I knew the answer. I thought it was because the ocean took up so much of the earth. This sounds silly now that I say it. Don't worry, it'll go by too fast. This earth is covered in water, right? So I thought someone told me that because the earth is covered in water, that that the sky is just a reflection of the blue water, which, if you think about it, has a lot of flaws because, you know, some of the water isn't blue, right? And the sky is always blue. Like, you're never above, like, Lake Erie and you're like, oh, why is the sky brown? Well, it's the lake. It's the reflection. You know, like maybe some places are the reflection. People pick on Lake Erie a lot, but Lake Michigan is also brown. Like, who was I talking to? Someone from Hawaii was talking about how clean their water was and how they couldn't swim in LA because the water wasn't as clear. And I'm just like, I love the ocean. I just feel like when you're in the ocean, it just cleans itself. Anyway, Jack asked me why the sky is blue, and I told him that. And then my dad just, on the ride to the airport, my dad's very good about rides to the airport. I think we talked about that almost to the point where I'm like, I have to check with his schedule because, you know, it's really nice of him to give me a ride to the airport. So I have to make sure that I can get one. But it's very good leg room. You know, if he was an Uber, I would always 4 stars. Is it 4 stars or 5 stars? 100 stars. If a toddler or younger age child made up the star system, it would just be like 1,000 stars, 1,000 star. Whatever number they just learned would be like 1,000. How would you like to rate your Uber? 1,000 stars. That could be complicated. You know, what's your Uber rating? 678.8 stars. Who's not giving 1,000 stars to that guy? I don't know. It seems like a lot. I thought it was on a 5-star scale. You get 1 5-star out of 1,000. That could really hit your rating. I remember when Jack was a little younger, we'd have to Uber sometimes. You know, if the car wasn't available, and you know, like babies and toddlers and stuff don't like cars when they know who's driving. You know, they're not into trips a lot of the time unless they're asleep. And maybe that's why they don't like cars, because they feel like this is a nap and I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Not doing it. Not doing it. And that's why they scream when they know you're going to take them the car. But we had to do an Uber one time. I forget where I had to go, but we ended up at the park to like play in the playground, and we skipped a nap, which is always the parents' fault. That was definitely my fault. And then the world gets to experience that. And this Uber driver was very nice because I got Jack in the car seat and into the car, and it was a really nice car, and the lady was very nice, and he was just screaming and not very happy about anything. and I think it really dinged my rating. I don't blame the person. I don't always drive with it. I feel like I should have two profiles, one profile where it's just a dad, just a guy taking an Uber by himself, and then another profile that should be weighted, like a weighted grade. Like this is a parent with a young child. The dad is cool. The kid is a variable. He might be cute, he might be sing-songy, or you might have to like just have some sort of way to mentally block out the challenges going on in the back seat, because that's the way it is. But mostly people are pretty nice to parent people with kids. When we got a ride to the airport to go to Chicago, I had like a milk that I put in a bag because I just forgot how gravity works. We've had these cups since Jack was very, very young, and he's going to grow out of them soon. We rarely use them, but like they're cups with like a lid that looks like it's closed. Like it's not closed, but there's like a top part that there's a couple holes at, and I just assume that it just, it just won't fall out. Like the liquid will stay in there, but it's never has. It feels like unless you give it to the kid and they're actively drinking it, wherever it is, it's going to spill. And it like spilled in the bag, and it was like leaking as the guy like lifted it up to put in his trunk is the word. And that I was looking for. Trunk is the word. And I was like, I gotta go throw that away. So like I had to like take Jack because I can't leave him. I'm not gonna leave him with the Uber driver. See, I'm a good dad. You don't just leave a guy, even if they have a really good rating. It's not somebody else would come along and they might not know how to handle the kidnapper. So I took Jack and we went and poured out the milk. I rinsed out the cup. I left it in the apartment, came back down. The Uber driver was there and we went, and I was like, oh, this guy's going to hate me. But he was really nice. Anyway, whenever I don't know what to say, it'll be a nice meditation sound. It's not like I don't know what to say. It's just that I don't ever plan where it's going to go. But yeah, first day of school. If it's weird, Instagram really builds up everything. Like people are taking this picture with the kid. I think it's from Toy Story 4. I haven't finished it yet, so I'm kind of lost on it. But where the kid's going off to kindergarten and all the toys are lined up watching him leave. And like all these parents are doing this video and this picture and shout out, enjoy your life, live it the way you want. But to me, Toy Story is so sad that's just too sad for me. I think maybe people watch that movie for fun and so they can just enjoy it. But for me, I'm just like, the kid's all grown up. When Jack was really into Toy Story, which is weird, when he was like 2 and 3 years old, and he had kids that age have such a shorter attention span that he would just want me to like skip through different parts. His favorite part of the whole series is the one in Toy Story 3 when they're about to go in the fire, which what does that mean? He would want me to skip to he just like, fire. I want the fire. Fire that fire. That's what he would say. Like maybe it's because he knew they would be saved, but I think he just liked the fire part. I don't think they know about like death. I mean, I don't even really know what would happen to the toys if they got on fire. Like, because technically, toys aren't alive. So if they die in a movie where they are alive, do they die like we die, or do they just like become a toy first, and then just die as a toy, which is not, as big of a deal? And then like, why am I dealing with my own mortality when I watch a movie that's meant for families? I guess we all are. I thought they were really going to kill those toys in that movie. I didn't think they really were. But there's a point in Toy Story 3, spoiler, I should have said that a long time, where like they all look at each other and hold hands, and I'm like, wow. Someone was sitting in a room pitching the ideas for Toy Story 3, writing the scene, and they're like, all right, they're going to go in the fire and they're going to be saved. And then someone was like, hold on, everybody. Hold it 1 second. let's scare the adults. Let's make some grown-ups feel something. Let's find a way for parents or aunts and uncles, babies, whoever's people just watching the movie to feel a feeling that they didn't even know they had accessible to them. So instead of just like, oh, they're going to go in the fire and then they're saved, let's have a moment where all the toys take a beat and look at each other in the eyes as they hold each other's hands and go into what they're believing are their last moments of living because of the fire, which I think they can feel pain. So there's that, but it's also just like, this is it. This is, I'm with you for this last moment. And that's enough. And they're like, yeah, we're putting that in the movie. So, because in a lot of, I guess, kids' movies, there's always like a peril, that someone comes has a problem. Taking a drink of water there, and then they're okay. So you kind of like know you're gonna go on that roller coaster, but when the characters really, 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 really check in with each other, and they're like, this is it. This is inevitable. This is the inevitability is inevitability. It's inevitable. Anyway, so that's what I'm dealing with. My kid's going off to kindergarten, and people are taking these pictures and videos of like all the toys lined up, watching which is strange, because I guess if you have a couple adults available, if they both stay home they don't go to work right away, you have one outside waiting for the kid, and then one inside making the video. But it feels kind of weird for me to like line up the toys and have my son leave my apartment unsupervised, even for a second. I'm not. Just for a shot? I don't know. The door's open. He'd probably be fine. He would be fine. He's always fine. He is always fine. We were flying back here last week since the last podcast, which is why I haven't talked about it. And did you guys miss the card being up here that said number 1 daddy? Maybe you didn't care. I just like a couple set pieces, I do it all. That's the best part. Not the best part. One of the fun parts about a podcast is you really get to do all of the jobs that you're not qualified for. So, one of them is sound engineer and set designer. So we were flying out of Midway and it was nighttime, and Jackson is the runner. He just runs. He's running. He's always running. And it's not that it's fast. Like, I think he could be fast when he's older, but he's not even close to me right now. And I'm past my prime. So, what are we going to do? How are we going to figure out that? Like, he wins all the races. Recently, he said something about that, because I've beaten him before in things, and then he gets really upset, and then at some point he says something like just let me win. Wait, but not that way. Not like just let me win, but in like a real honest way of like, I know that this isn't real and I'm okay with that. I just want to win. And I'm like, well, that's healthy, right? As long as they know that they're losers deep down. No, he's not a loser. You can lose things and not. Sometimes you lose so much that makes you a winner, because you define your own worth based off of what you find inside, and decide to share with the world versus some scoreboard. I think in life, really, if we're going to get really down to it, everybody, when it comes down to scoreboards and wins and losses, those are just for the people on the sidelines. Those are just for the fans. Those are just for the announcers. It doesn't matter. Sure, you might live a different, wealthier life if you get more points and more wins lined up in whatever business you're in, but that's not always better. And maybe even if it is better, the most important, what I'm trying to say is, if you're losing, you're not. That's just something people are saying because they believe it's true, or that's because through their eye, you're playing, you're out there, whatever field you're in, you're out there, and winning and losing doesn't exist. Even if you get fired, that's their perception. You're in it. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to a group of people who are seeking inspiration, and I don't think that's ever been the case. So yes, Jack's gonna leave and go off to kindergarten tomorrow. And some of these videos on the internet make it feel like they're going off to college, but he's not. He's not going off to college. He's going off to kindergarten, and he's been this is the same building for like this camp the last 2 or 3 weeks. So he's already used to it. It just seems like it should be a bigger. Anyway, so I don't think we're gonna do the toy thing, but maybe there's all those things looking back that you want to have later. I just like that I get to be a dad. And if you're not a parent and you're like, oh man, this podcast talks about how great it is to be a parent. Well, there's a lot that sucks too. So just know that you're winning. Not that anybody's keeping, well, everyone's keeping score, but like, not that it matters whether you're winning or losing. But if you're not a parent, you can do whatever you want forever. For the rest of your life, you get to do whatever, however, whenever, and I would say that's probably fun too. So, yeah. But yeah, tomorrow's the first day of the rest of our lives of being kindergartners. But yeah, I still haven't decided what to do with all of his artwork or things they make. What do you guys do what did my parents? I don't think you just throw it away. I just got to start throwing it away. It's okay. I'll throw it away. It's also a big time of year for a lot of people that like to gamble with $20 to $30 over the whole football season on players. Fantasy football draft tomorrow. I had 2 today, and I didn't do them because I have had more success. I've had just amount. I've won 2 times, and one time I was there for the draft, and one time I was not there for the draft. You know how weird it is to win at something when the computer did the work at the beginning? That's what's weird about games. It's like, oh, maybe I'm in the way of my own success. Not that anybody's keeping score or anything like that. But yeah, that's it. That's all that's going on over here. We got a fantasy football draft. I do, if you're not into sports, one thing you might not know is that college football started already. And what I like about college football is that they can pay the players now. They call it NIL, name and likeness. I always thought it name and likeness, but I don't know what I'm talking about. But I like watching sports where people are getting paid because I feel like they all deserve to be, especially when it's football and you're running into people really fast. I think there was a football player at the playground today with a child. That would be weird if he was just hanging out. But he was a big guy, and he had like Stanford Cardinal clothes on, and like he played sport there, and his wife did too, and they're playing with their kid. And I kind of wanted to Google like Los Angeles football players and whether they went to Stanford, and I could be like, but I didn't know what I would say. I always get excited when I see someone like kind of famous or like a professional athlete or something, because I'm like, wow, there they are, there they are. But then I'm like, whoa, what do I do now? Hopefully nothing. That's usually the best thing, is to just go about your day. I feel like when you see a famous person or like a sport, like an athlete or something, the best, it's like seeing like a rare bird in the wild. You just kind of look at it in a way that you don't scare them, and just imagine if you went somewhere, as it happens probably more in cities where there's, they're making movies and stuff, like Los Angeles or maybe New York, and you just saw someone that you see on TV every week or on the internet, like it just, I feel like it's a weird feeling of like they're a person, like, and then they know. That's the weird part, is they know that like they know that you saw them and recognize them, and then you have about like a second to not be a crazy person. Not even crazy, but just like a shocked person who's just like, well, I guess they might not mind it, but I feel like it's always better if you can just compliment somebody. That's why I don't like to be surprised by celebrity. Like one time I was at the airport and I saw from a distance, like about 20 feet, I saw Quentin Tarantino. And so I was ready to see Quentin Tarantino. I wasn't just surprised by Quentin Tarantino. I saw on his luggage, he had a Universal luggage tag, and I was like, well, that's a movie company. And I looked up and it was him. And then I was able to like just be like, hey, I like your movies. And he's like, oh, thanks. And he's really nice. Rather than just like coming around a corner and seeing the girl who played the wife that stole a lot in Breaking Bad at the gym and just being like that was weird when you see someone in a TV show and they're like, what do you're here. This is where I'm here. And you're in here and you're in a show I like. That's all it is. Someone's in a thing that you like and then they're in your life. And so that's the end. I don't think like you don't get to be their friend usually. I don't think. I'm not friends with that lady. I would. She seemed nice. I think that's the weird part about seeing famous people. It's like you get this excitement and then it's like, but we're not friends. I mean, I'm not even as a parent. I'm not super friends with anybody other than, I don't spend a ton of time with anybody. So what's going on with this person that I don't even know, but they're famous? Like, even if someone recognized you and then wanted to hang out with you and they were famous too, it'd be like, well, let's find a time, Yeah. I don't know what to say. But yeah. That's the podcast. Not that. This isn't the end. But that was part of the podcast, and it is a podcast now and a video. If you're watching or listening with intent, like an expectation, you might be like, I don't have that anymore. And I don't blame you. I don't know how to meet expectation with where I'm at right now. But if you don't have expectation or intention, you might be enjoying it slightly. I had a traffic thing happen recently. This is something that I wanted to share. When it happened, I didn't think, I'm going to share this with everybody. But now that we're here, and now that it's coming to my brain, I just feel like this could be something that someone might hear or watch and be like okay, I see how that's a thing. I was driving and this you know how people merge when they drive? This guy, you let people in, right? Like, it's usually, if there's traffic, it's usually like one person goes and then you let one person in, and then one person goes and you let one person in, and then one person goes. And so I was in this situation where the people merging are definitely merging. They're not doing the thing where there's like a bunch of people in the lane that they want to really go to, and then they go in the lane that's really fast moving. They're just and then they get up to the front and be like, what? How? Ha! I thought that my lane was really? You thought that today was the day when you're driving to work the same way that everybody's driving, that no one was in your lane today? That's what you thought? That on this day would be different than all the other days previously, where that this lane that you were using going to work at the same time as everybody else, that would just be open? I've definitely done that before, where you can tell that where you're going to go is the lane where everyone's in line. And then there's a lane that you're in and you're like, well, I need to get over, but not technically right now. And then you go past all the cars and then you're like, what? Oh, sorry. I didn't, turn signal. I'm going to drive into the part that's got lines in it now. This is the last second. I didn't know. I didn't know. I try not to do that. But one of my friends was telling me, my friend Brian Aldridge is a really funny comedian, that when I started out, he was very nice to me. And we were friends. I think we still are friends. He just lives in Florida, and I haven't talked to him in a while. But he was saying that, like, he doesn't ever get upset when people do that because he definitely has done it before. Like, if you're in a big hurry, that's kind of like the thing. If you really, really have to get somewhere, that's kind of how you can, because you're not going on the shoulder. You're not blocking emergency traffic. All you're doing is driving. You know what I mean? Is this clear? You know how, like, if you're listening or watching, you're like, yes, we know, move on. But just for a second, just hold on. So there's the lane and there's no one in front of you. Then there's like 2 lanes over here and they're all backed up. And you're like, wow, it's my day. Look at this. Look at this. And then you realize that that's the lane you need to be in, is the one that everyone's in, and which makes sense because everyone's in it. And so then you're like, oh, I should hit my brakes now. I should get over it. But you're like, and then what I usually rationalize, like, well, if I stop right here, there's cars coming behind me that are going this way, and they might, like, that could be bad for them. And so I just keep, and then you finally have to get over, and then they let you in, because that's why driving works, is because it's way easier in the long run to let somebody in than to not let somebody in if they're really trying to get it. Like, you don't want to, if you hit somebody, then no one gets to go anywhere legally. But sometimes the reverse happens, because I try to be very considerate when I drive. I try to be very considerate in general. I think it's a problem, really. And that's weird to be like, I'm so considerate. But it is a little bit. Like I'm one of those, I used to be. I'm trying to change. This is a growth moment. This is me coming to you guys being like, I'm growing here. Like when I pull in a parking spot and I'm like a little close to one of the lines, or I'm not, like, you know how the lines are like this, you know how lines work, and I'm a little bit like this. I just feel like I should move my car, and I can help other people. Like the one time I was going to church, and it was like, it had already started, and this lady had just parked, and I had parked, and I was walking up, and she got out of her car, and she looked at the car, and I could tell what she was doing. I could tell that she was looking at the car being like, do I gotta move? And there was no one on either side of her. Like, she was fine, but if someone were to come in, they wouldn't really be able to park next to her safe. But there was like a big parking lot. So I looked at her and I was like, you're fine. And she was like, really? I was like, yeah, you're good. And it felt good to give someone a gift that I haven't been able to give myself until lately. Recently, when I park my car, if I'm not actively breaking a law, I just gotta let it go. And also be a better, why is it so hard to park straight when the thing, like, I took driver's ed and I can parallel park. But it's weird how when you drive a car, one of the things you have to be able to do is see things that your eyes can't see. Your eyes can't. Some of the cars that are nicer, they have cameras everywhere and you can see where you line up, and then there's just no excuse. I just feel like, when someone, this is a flaw. This is a flaw of my own. We're facing it today, though, together. Me and the super dad back here. I don't know if this trophy is saying that I'm a super dad, or if this is like, this is what a super dad is. Maybe you could, reach that level someday. I just heard a neighbor. It's not that late, but they weren't knocking or anything. Anyways, I could be talking. Hi, Mom. I'm just talking, just having a normal conversation in the bathroom by myself. So what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Here's the flaw. Here's something that I don't like to use the word work, because that doesn't sound very, it's not going to get paid for it, But when I see someone do something in traffic or parking or driving that's not considerate, my first instinct is to be like, you got to be better, you know? They're they're not good at life. They're selfish, I think, is usually the main thing. Or like, but then I have to realize that then I'm like, well, if I'm gonna judge, then I have to be perfect, and that's why it's better to not judge. I just learned that, and I didn't even have to watch Sesame Street to know it. You just don't judge anybody else, and then you can do whatever you want. Well, you shouldn't do whatever you want. It's amazing how sometimes the podcast is really easy to record, and then sometimes I'm talking and I'm listening and I'm like, I think it's because I'm more well rested. Like, I was on the road and I was staying at my parents' house while I was doing shows in the area, and I was just a normal guy sleeping a lot, and so now I think I'm really hearing how it sounds, and I'm like, how can this be a thing? So anyway, that's why it's good not to judge, because then if you don't judge, then you can do whatever you want. And at least not judge. You shouldn't be hard on yourself no matter what. And you probably shouldn't do whatever you want. But anyway, my thing that I'm going to get better at is when I pull in a parking spot. Is that the thing I was talking about? Is I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to be like, I got to move. I got to line up perfectly, you know? Because I think I liked helping that. Like another instance like that was, I think we can always like think too much about what we're eating, you know? Like, especially as adults, like this lady was in the grocery store one time. It was a Whole Foods, so people can very focus on what they eat at those stores. And this lady, very nice lady. And I've definitely been there where you're like, oh, well, I'm an adult. I don't have to eat everything I love. Let's just eat what's good for me. And so she was looking at the ingredients or something, and she was like, I don't know if I can eat walnuts or something, or what it was. Like, it was a part of like some sort of detox or thing that she was doing. Diet. I don't think people use the word diet anymore, but something where she was limiting the food that she could eat for her own benefit. And she was in her head about it, thinking about it out loud. And I was just like, I believe in you. I think you can. And I felt like I was talking to myself more than anything else, because I think the food you eat. Anyway, I like it that on the pot, I share. In my head, I think of it, and then I share it, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I see how that's and then sometimes I'm like, I'm going to have to explain how I decided to say that. Because in life, sometimes, out of anxiety or maybe like just social, like you ever like with some friends and they're, everyone's just hanging out, having a good time, but you feel like it's not enough of a good time. Like you feel like you're responsible for bringing all these people together, so you need to make sure everyone's a really good time. And so it kind of like makes you not yourself. And then people are like, why are you saying stuff like that? Like, oh yeah, I just want to make sure. I'm just trying to connect the dots for everybody. I'm like, oh, this person from this person. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So long story longer, this guy was merging, and he did one of these. And like by rights of the normal rules of driving, like the normal like street rules, like the unwritten rules, like these aren't going to be in any of your driver's ed textbooks. These aren't going to follow you around. No one's going to teach you. But like when they're merging and this is traffic, you let in one. If there's no light, you just let in one person and then you go, and then one person. So it was his turn, and he waved, and I was like, go ahead. And his hand was up, and then he did one of these, and I just was like, I don't want you to go anymore. That bothered. It just felt like, thank you. Like, no. Just say, give me a nod or like one of the, I know that to him, maybe this is like, you're cool. Like, thank you. Like I acknowledge you being like a decent, but when you do this, it just feels like a, thank you. I was going to go anyway. And I didn't want him to go. And then, I know that might have been interpreted from wherever I was in that moment, like that's not, I just never, like when you wave like this, if for I'm waving a normal wave, or you can do like a head nod, an acknowledgement. I've never seen an open, like a closed fist, and then just like a Like he was like okay, and I was like, yep, go ahead. And then he was like, closed fist, open fist, and I was just like, it kind of felt like he was being like, in a nice way, get out of my face. That's what I felt, and I didn't appreciate it. And there's nothing I can do about it, you know. I'm not gonna follow him and be like, dude, just take the merge. You don't have to give me a little like, oh, thank you, oh, thank you, oh, thank you. Just take the merge. That's your thing. You are imposing on my life. Don't try to pretend that this little thank you is gonna change anything. One time I had a lady, and not to make this all about my traffic incidents that bugged me. I was gonna do no complaining this episode, but it didn't really. It's not really complaining. It's just moments where I felt something that didn't feel super great. So like this lady was coming out of an alley, and I was coming out of the other side of the alley out across the street, and she like, I don't think she knew how to wave. Like she knew how to wave in real life, but I don't think she knew like the unwritten rule, like just the normal, like I'm going, you know. I think that's important to teach people, because I don't think they teach that in school or whatever, but it's important to be like, just to, you know, keep the peace in the world. So she kind of raised her hand as if to be like, can I go? And I gave her like a go ahead, you know, like a go ahead. And then instinctively, before I even finished my go ahead, she did like one of these, like I'm going, which I interpret as like I'm going now, get out of the way. If you're now, she just like like she was waving at a fly, but like a reverse. Like my face was there, she would have given me a face slap with her knuckles, you know, like just like a no, as if like get out of the way, get out of the way. And I know that she didn't mean it, because that would be insane for someone to wave and be like, get out. No, my turn. Because we can't live in a society where someone goes, mine. You can think mine, you can go for mine, but you can't say it unless it's like I don't know. It just seemed insane. But it would be interesting. Maybe that's just how she worked, and she always was like, nope, I'm going. Nope, I'm going. It's amazing how people can treat people. So maybe that's it. But yeah. We did it. We made it to Monday. This is a day off for a lot of people. I'm doing a podcast today because even on Labor Day, I do it because it's a labor of it's not a labor of like I don't love. I mean, I love talk. Like it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun It's a fun. Yeah, labor's not bad. I found this notebook recently. There's the new stickers. There's a Madigan's Pubcast. That is the podcast people should listen to. Not that this one isn't. And then there's my sticker, which is my name. I didn't really think it through when I ordered these stickers. I thought that when my name would be on it, then I could, I don't know. I don't know what I thought, but I have stickers with my name on them. But I put that on this notebook recently, but there's a bunch of like old premises in here that I just found. This is all like from, I don't know. This is all from before time, before the pandemic. Yeah. Let's see if we can find something. Okay, this is. Oh, that's something I really say on my show right now. The process works. Let's see. Whenever your kid cries in public, it's a good time to express how you feel about the situation conveyed through calming down a kid. If a family is taking up the whole gorilla window. Oh, I think that's Jack. I don't think he fell asleep. He did fall asleep, but I have to go check in. That's the podcast, everybody. I'll finish reading this. No, there's no time when you look up. You don't want someone rushing you along. Okay. Thank you, everybody.